G'day and welcome to my tutorial on how to use Google Earth for the Mount Everest virtual reality activity. I'm going to show you all the different Google Earth features you'll need for this activity to hopefully make your experience as smooth as possible. The first thing I'm going to show you is the basic navigation in Google Earth. So you can click on the Earth and of course drag it around in all sorts of directions. We're interested in Mount Everest, which you could zoom in and find that, but I'm going to use a search tool in the top left hand corner. Type in Mount Everest, search, and it's going to take us right there. And there we are on the summit of Everest. Now on Google Earth you can left click and move and click and drag the mouse around to move in all different directions, or you can use this hand tool here and that does exactly the same thing, or you can press up, down, left, right on your keyboard. You can zoom in and out using this slider here, negative and positive, zoom in and out, or you can use the wheel on your mouse. Another really good thing you can do for looking at landforms and landscapes is this look around icon here, and what that does, rather than moving your view, it's tilting your view in different directions. So you can use that to have a look at all the different landforms and landscapes within the area that you're at, and you can do a full 360 panoramic view, for example. And these days the technology is so good that you can get all the view of all the different mountains and glacial valleys, etc. You can zoom right into all these different features, and you can see there all the different features of that landscape, and I can tilt round the other way, and you basically get a really good 360 view. You can look up a mountain, for example. It's fantastic. Rather than using that the mouse controls in the top left, the other way to do that is just to press Control on your keyboard, keep it pressed, and you can drag the mouse around and you can get all those different directions. That's for task A. Now for task C, you're going to have to start adding data into your own Google Earth folder. So the first thing I'm going to do is to close the search bar to give us more room. Now in My Places, I'm going to right click, I'm going to add a folder, and you can use your name and you can call it Everest VR project. Okay, so that's a folder which we can add a whole bunch of data into. I just want to right click that and I want to save place as, and just show you that that saves as a KMZ file. And you can just save that anywhere on your computer, and you can keep adding to that KMZ file with all the data that you add. So in task C, you're seeing a whole bunch of different sites using virtual reality. Now we want to add pins or place marks to those sites. So if we go up to the top left here where we've got our little yellow pin icon, click on that. Now I want to add in the exact location of that place mark using the latitude and the longitude, and those are provided for you in your project sheet. So I can click on the north coordinate, I can copy that, Control C, Control V and paste it in, and same with this one, Control C for the east, Control V, and the name of that one was Everest Base Camp, so I'm just going to call that Everest Base Camp. Click OK, and that's been added in here, so that's where base camp is. Now I can change the design of that pin. If I go properties, first of all I can change the icon, so you might for example choose this one as a campsite in the middle here, or this one if it's a point on the way, or any of these markers that you like the look of, or you can even, I believe, customize your own. But I'm going to add this one for campsite since it's the camp. And you can also change the color of the label and of the icon, so I can make the icon orange, for example, and there we go. So I've got my Everest Base Camp. The other thing you can do to the place marks that you've put in there is add a description. So if I right click and I go back to properties, here in the description section I can write down the observations that I saw while looking through the headset. So at base camp we could see ice covering most of the land. There were steep mountains in front, and there was a valley behind us. Just some observations, anything that you can think of. There's some prompts in the worksheet to tell you what sort of things you can write. Now that I've added a place mark, I would keep going and add all of them, and then once it's all done, they're all saved here in the project folder, and you would just save place as, like you have, and then save it there. I've just realized I've spelt Everest incorrectly, so I should change that, and I'll save that. There we go. Once you've done them all, here's one I prepared earlier with all the sites in there, and this is what it would look like. So this is all the journey up to the summit there, and you can double click on any of those and it's going to zoom in there, and you can see, let's zoom into Camp 2 for example, and just like we did before, you can change the angle of what we're looking at, and you can start to see the view as we head towards the peak and what sort of landscape we'll be walking through. Another thing that you'll need for each of those sites is to measure the elevation. I'll just click on the N up here to orient myself north again. I've just lost where I am. I'll double click on some labels. There we are. Okay, so if at any point you want to know the elevation of where you are, on the bottom right of the screen here, it's got the elevation, and as you move the mouse around, it's going to change the elevation. So that way you can measure the elevation of each of your sites and each of the journeys along the way, and all the way up to the top of the mountain where it should be around over 8,000 meters, 8,488 to be exact. Task D is all about comparing the routes to get to the summit. So there's actually a file that you can download that has those in there. If I go File, Open, it's called Everest Project Data. What I've got is, I'll just turn off this one for the moment so you can see it a bit clearer. I've got two different ways to get to the summit. I've got this south route, which we've been studying so far with all the different camps, but now you can see the green line going through there. And then we've got the north route, which has Base Camp North and all the different camps to approach Everest from the north. So I'll go back there in my temporary places. You can move that into my places by left clicking and dragging it. Now if we go there on the north route, you've got all your different camps and you can turn those on and off, and then you've also got all your different paths. And to draw those, in case you want to draw your own, all I did was use this path here, add path, and you can just click and draw your path on there. So all those paths you can turn on and off. Now what's really interesting that you can do with these paths is you can right click on those and you can say show elevation profile. And what you've got now is you've got a longitudinal profile of how the elevation changes, and as you move your mouse across that path, you can see the red arrow here on the path, so you can see where the steepest parts are, and you can compare those to where the landforms are. It also tells you the elevation, how much you've gone up and down, how much distance you've traveled. You can left click and drag it across, and it's going to measure the distance that you've traveled, and it's going to measure the elevation that you've gained and lost. So it's got all the different information there, the maximum slope, the minimum slope, the average slope, etc. So you can use that to really have a look at which parts of the journey are going to be the steepest. You can compare, if I look at Camp 5 to the summit and show the elevation profile, the scales change, but that might be a steeper path as well, and you can compare that to see which part of the journey is going to be the easiest or the most difficult.